les yeux, là. Qu'est-ce que tu ressens?
Il y a du vent, le sang, le soleil.
Tu penses-tu que même si tu voyais pas, tu serais capable de profiter d'un lieu comme ici? Our kids were pretty young when we learned 3 out of 4 have retinitis pigmentosa. For some people, their field of vision is gonna go completely dark.
I'm thinking it's a sign.
There's no treatment, there's nothing they can do about it.
It's just too much. You're powerless.
But the freckles in our eyes are mirror images.
Traveling is always something that had been on our mind. So we said, let's do it now. Let's go all in and fill their visual memory with as much beautiful thing as we can.
On est prêt? OK, let's go!
We asked them if you can do any activity anywhere in the world, what you want to do.
See a sunrise on a mountain, make friends in other countries. Laurent said, I want to drink juice on a camel.
Like, really? Why?
Quand je suis dans un endroit totalement noir, ça fait comme si j'étais dans le néant.
Yes, they're going to need help, but at the same time, it's going to be their life in their own way.
The hardest thing about being a parent is letting go.
Oh my God!
We can't hide in that perfect future. Our story is a blank page. Like stepping in the unknown.
Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for Blink, arriving on Nat Geo on December 16th, followed by streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu on December 17th. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. Joining me to talk all things Blink is director Edmund Stenson. Thank you so much for your time today, Edmund. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to talking about the film.
So thank you. Yes, I gotta tell you off the top, I'm an empath. So as a creative, you know, that's what we do. We feel we want to entertain as well as educate through our work. Watching this film, also as a parent, just hit me hard. When did this project come to you, and working with the family to, you know, travel the world and tell their story? Can you tell me how you got involved with on Blink?
Yeah, sure. My co-director and I, Daniel Roher, we were actually approached by a fellow Canadian, Amit Day, at MRC. He essentially reached out to the family and asked them if they wanted to be part of a documentary project. So we actually had the project brought to us. And can you imagine being asked, do you want to travel the world with this incredible family and tell this story? It's kind of a dream come true as a director. It did not take long for us to be like, well, of course we want to go tell this story. So that's really how we came to it. And then we spent some time with the family before we started shooting to get to know them, both in Zoom and a little bit on their travels. And that's kind of how the film began.
Wonderful. And you guys were there. We see it all happen through this documentary. So captivating, so heartfelt. Just I'm sure everyone is going to think about their lives and how we conduct ourselves moving forward. I know it hit me in every way. What was there anything personal for you when you got involved in what you wanted to capture? Because this is a task at hand. I just can only imagine you find this out and just the emotions that you feel from that to capture every moment. But then let's not forget, this is going to be work and taking it over and filming all this, the hours of footage that you're going to do. Can you tell me just how you responded to all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good point. I think as a documentary filmmaker, you have a double task. You want to respect the emotional authenticity of where your subjects are in their journey. And for us and for the Pelletiers, that was very early with their coming to terms with how their idea of the future might change because of the diagnosis. And I think you're always balancing that with, well, I'm an artist and a filmmaker, and the point of this film is to filter their experience through my prism, my creative prism and lens. And so Daniel and I realized quite early on that what we wanted to avoid was a simple travel log. Yes, we always knew we could paint beautiful images and we could bring the natural world to life. We have an incredible crew to do that. But for us, it was like, what is the deeper emotional truth in this story? And how do we make this story applicable and open to any family who's going through something, and any family at all, really? And so what we identified is that we have the parent's journey, which is very much the kind of anticipatory grief of learning that the future you once imagined might change, and then the child's kind of wonder at experiencing the world for the first time. And for me too, it's a wonder that I'd never been to those places either. And then filming them, you're also getting my almost immediate reaction to the sheer immensity and beauty of the natural world. So I think that was very much the guiding principle, that the emotional core of the film was the parents and their relationship to the diagnosis. And then there was the wonder of our kids. So that's very much how we approached it. And the last thing I'd say is that we wanted to make an intimate, heartfelt film where the camera felt like another sibling. We didn't want to feel like we were distant from the family. We wanted to put you in the heart of the action, but also feel like you were just another member of the family on the journey with them.
Well, bravo. I feel you succeeded on all accounts, and I can see why you got some festival nominations as well. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Definitely. So putting this together, we go on this journey. I wish we could have saw more of certain countries, but I'm sure due to time and that, for the full edit, you couldn't. So maybe some offshoots. We'd love to see a Blink too. I don't know. We'd love to see some of the other, even though it's not a travelogue. And well done, because you wanted the central storylines to happen. So stuff that didn't make it, but and also stuff that did. I'm curious if you can speak to that. Some footage that due to editing and time that didn't make the cut. But there's also this one moment. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm curious. I think you were in Nepal and you were caught on this. I forgot the name of
cable car in Ecuador.
Yes. That had to be nuts, because you had the family, but you also have the crew that was not on scene on camera. What was that like?
Yeah, that's so funny you should say that. Obviously, the stuff inside the cable car is actually just filmed by the mom in the film. What happened is that we were joining the family a couple of weeks later. I get a phone call on a Saturday night about 7 p.m. from the dad saying, Ed, you and Daniel wanted cinematic drama. Guess what's happened? And this is only 4 hours into the 12-hour ordeal. And as a documentary filmmaker, you have this kind of double take when things like that happen. On the one hand, you have a compassionate side that's like, oh my God, that's so terrible. I'm so sorry. And the filmmaker part of you is fist bumping slightly and thinking, we need to get a camera person over there. Please stay stuck there for another 2 hours. So luckily enough, we were able to find this wonderful cinematographer called Xavier Mendez, an Ecuadorian man, and his partner drove for 2 hours to get to the site and then actually climbed the mountain with the firemen and women who were rescuing people from the cable car. So all those incredible shots you get of the cable car kind of swinging like a pendulum in the air, the shots that really make the scene and bring out the terror of that experience, that was actually just a testament to documentary filmmaking. Things happen and you have to adjust and figure out what to do in a very, very short period of time. So that's how that unfolded. To me, it's a central metaphor of the film. And I think it's kind of the turning point in some ways. But to speak to your other question about what was left on the cutting room floor, I think this is a film that's filled with moments of childhood beauty and wonder. And it's a film that's not filled with these giant plot points where things turn and suddenly there's a completely different perspective. Real life isn't like that, right? It's just a series of little moments that stand in for something greater. And our kids were so wonderful that we had so many of these moments where they'd say something funny or irreverent or silly, or they'd have an insight, or they'd just do something that charmed you. But we realized that you can't fill the film completely with those moments. And so as an editor, it was about how do we move the story forward, but also give the audience those childlike moments of wonder, like the boys playing sword fighting on top of a mountain, or Laurent having that wonderful reflection on the tree in the Amazon. So I think audiences are going to see that in watching this film, you get to see not only your own experiences of childhood, but also just to be with these extraordinary children that see the world in a beautiful way.
Definitely. It hit me so. It's so impactful. And again, I understand with the editing and for time and the main story point. Filmmaking wise, if I could throw my filmmaker hat on,
Sure.
and it's a documentary. And so, with this whole process, was there anything that you learned differently, or that you're going to take with you on the next project? Can we add to that? And also, personally, because of what you witness as a family, and you're covering this family and what they're going through, that you now take with you in your personal life.
No, that's a great question. I think from a filmmaking perspective, two things. I think the first thing is that this is obviously a film that at its heart is about a diagnosis of visual impairment that's changing the shape of this family's life. One of the things that, as a filmmaker, I didn't think sufficiently about before we made this is how crucial audio description is for to engage with the visually impaired community. It's criminally underappreciated both as an art form and just generally, both in North America and in Canada. And we were lucky enough to have a retinitis pigmentosa consultant who lives with the condition, and she and I worked closely with a company that really did this incredible audio description and I think as a filmmaker, you're not taught to think about those things. And I have to fully admit that I was ignorant of how important this is and how much time and effort it takes to do something truly meaningful and creative and impactful for that community. So going forward in my next films, I'm thinking about that as I'm shooting, as I'm editing. How are we going to describe this film? How are we going to make sure this community feels part of this experience, both at the cinema and at home? And that was a big learning curve for me. And I have to thank Jamie Kadish, our consultant, and our team for really, it's been a massive learning curve for me on that front. In the field, I would say that I think every film is a new challenge. Every time you finish a film, you think you've nailed filmmaking, and then you start again and you don't know what the hell you're doing. I think working with children really honed my ability to be present in the moment and to react quickly to situations. That's the basis of filmmaking in general, but kids add an extra layer because they are so irreverent and so indifferent to the logic of the narrative, to the film you're making, and to the everyday life that's unfolding. So I felt like my skills were kind of honed in like dealing with the immediate and last minute changes of being with children. To speak as an individual, one of the things that happened in making this film, Patrick, is that I think our crew was really, really reflective about what kind of parents they were, what kind of parents they had, what kind of parents they want to be, and what kind of children they were. This is a film that really asks that of an audience. And I want to be clear that it was really asked of us in the field. And I think seeing Edith and Seb and the freedom with which that they give their kids to experience and live in the world. I think of that moment where Colin falls over in the Amazon, cracks his head on something, or kind of falls over, gets back up, and the parents kind of squint, take a second to check if he's okay, and then let him continue with his day. And little moments like that are just these little gestures of what kind of kid do I think my child can be? The answer is they can do anything, they can be anything, and they can live in the world reliant upon themselves. And I think that was a really beautiful model of parenthood that I hadn't thought about before seeing this film. So that really touched me.
And you just touched me with those words. I'm such an empath. I'm already feeling like I'm crying. Well done, Edmund. Again, this is a great documentary project, a great film, and I can't wait for the rest of the world to see it when it arrives on National Geographic on December 16th, streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu December 17th. Thank you so much for your time, Edmund. A pleasure to chat with you. I can't wait to see what you're going to do next. Everybody, I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. Go check out Blink when it debuts on December 16th. There you go. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
When you have kids, you just want to imagine everything's going to be okay. Our kids were pretty young when we learned 3 out of 4 have retinitis pigmentosa. For some people, their field of vision is going to go completely dark.
I'm thinking it's a sign
Traveling is always something that had been on our mind.
that the freckles in our
So we said, let's fill their visual memory with as much beautiful thing as we can.
Okay, let's go.
Yes, they're going to need help, but it's going to be their life in their own way.
We can't hide in that perfect future. Our story is a blank page, like stepping in the unknown.
Edmund, it's a pleasure to chat with you. I'm gonna do a quick 3, 2, 1 to help me with my edit because I'm putting the trailer right in front.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, let's have some fun. Here we go. December 16th. Okay, here we go. In a 1, 2, 3.